Hello, and welcome to The Modern Choice, the show where we discuss the important questions of life and career. Today we're exploring a classic dilemma. Is it better to be a big fish in a small pond, or a small fish in a big pond? In other words, is it more rewarding to be a well-known, important person in a smaller community, or to be one of many in a large competitive environment, filled with opportunities? This is a choice many of us face, whether we're picking a university, a job, or even a place to live. To help us understand both sides, we have two fantastic guests with very different experiences. First, we have Mark. Mark is the owner of a very successful group of cafes in his hometown and a strong believer in the, quote, big fish, small pond philosophy. Welcome, Mark. And joining us from the big city is Sophia. Sophia is a talented software developer at a major international tech company, and she believes in the power of being a, quote, small fish in a big pond. Welcome to the show, Sophia. We're going to start with opening statements to understand your perspectives. Mark, let's begin with you. Why do you believe being a big fish in a small pond is the better choice?
Thanks, Chloe. It's great to be here. For me, the answer is simple. It's about impact and happiness. I was born and raised in a town of about 20,000 people. I love it there. I went to a university in a big city for a few years, and to be honest, I felt completely lost. I was just a number, another student in a huge lecture hall, another person in a crowded subway. I did well in my studies, but I never felt connected to the place or the people. When I moved back home, I knew I wanted to build something that mattered to my community. I opened my first cafe 10 years ago with a small loan and a lot of hope. Today, I have 3 cafes, and they are more than just businesses. In a big city, 3 cafes are probably not a big deal. But in my town, they are important community hubs. I know my customers by name. I know their families, their jobs, their stories. When I walk down the street, people say hello. They stop me to tell me how much they love my coffee or the new cakes we offer. This personal connection is something you can't buy. It's a wonderful feeling. I am a leader in my community. I hire local people, I buy ingredients from local farmers, and I support local school events. I can see the positive effect of my work every single day right in front of me. There's also less competition, which means there's less of a certain kind of stress. My life is not about fighting to be better than thousands of other anonymous people. It's about doing good work and being appreciated for it by people I care about. Some people might think a small town is boring, but I think it's peaceful. You have more time for yourself, for your family, for your hobbies. You feel safe and secure, part of a community that looks out for you. For me, success isn't about being famous around the world or having a big title. It's about being important to the world right outside my door. I would rather be the king of my own small castle than just another soldier in a giant, faceless army.
Thank you, Mark, for that passionate opening. Sophia, let's hear from you now. What is your perspective on this?
Thank you, Chloe. I understand Mark's perspective, and it sounds lovely, but I have a very different view. I also grew up in a small town, and while it was nice and comfortable, I always felt like I wanted more. I was curious about the world, and I wanted to see what else was out there. For me, being a small fish in a big pond is about one word: growth. I work at a company with thousands of employees in a city of millions. Am I the most important person there? Absolutely not. Not even close. But I am surrounded by some of the smartest, most creative people in my industry. Every single day is a chance to learn something new from my colleagues, my managers, and the challenging projects we work on. The projects we work on are huge and impact millions of people globally. I could never have that kind of experience or reach in a small town. The competition is high, it's true, but I see it as a positive kind of pressure. It pushes me to be better, to learn faster, and to stay updated with the latest technology and ideas. In a big city, there are endless opportunities for professional development. There are workshops, conferences, and industry meetups happening every week. If I want to learn a new skill, I have access to the best teachers and institutions in the world. If I want to change projects, or even my career path, there are hundreds of options right here in the city, sometimes inside my own company. Being a small fish also gives you a certain freedom that comes with anonymity. Not everyone knows who you are, so you have the space to experiment, to try new things, and even to fail without major social consequences. It's not about being lonely or invisible. It's about having the space to grow at your own pace. I see it like this. I am a student at the world's best university. I might be just one student among many, but the education I'm getting from my work and my environment is priceless. For me, that potential for continuous growth is more valuable than being the most important person in a smaller room.
Thank you both for those excellent opening statements. You've clearly defined the two sides of this debate. Sophia, I want to start the discussion with you. Mark described his life as peaceful and less stressful. You mentioned that the pressure in your environment is positive, but how do you manage the stress of such high competition? Is it ever too much?
That's a fair question. Of course, there are stressful days. There are deadlines and challenging problems, and times when I feel the pressure to perform. But the environment is built to handle it. We have support systems and a culture of teamwork. Because there are so many people, you learn that it's okay to ask for help. Someone has probably faced a similar problem before. Also, the stress is about the work, the project, the code. It feels productive, not personal. In a small town, as I remember it, sometimes the pressure of everyone knowing your business can be a different, more personal kind of stress.
That's an interesting point. Mark, what do you think about that idea of personal stress versus work stress? And what about Sophia's main point? Growth. Do you ever feel that you are missing out on learning new things by staying in a smaller environment?
I understand what Sophia means by personal stress, but I see it differently. When people know you, they also support you. When my father was sick last year, customers asked about him every day. They offered to help. That's the benefit of a strong community. Regarding growth, I completely disagree that you can only grow in a big city. My business has grown every year. I've had to learn about accounting, marketing, management, and human resources. That's real-world learning. I learn from my customers, my employees, and from the challenges of running a business itself. Perhaps I don't know the very latest international coffee trend from a famous blogger, but I know what my community wants, and that's more important for my success and my happiness. I also think growth can mean different things. For me, growing my relationships and my community impact is more important than climbing a corporate ladder in a distant office. You can be a big fish and still learn to swim better every day.
Sophia, Mark's cafes are central to his community. He sees his impact daily. Do you ever feel like your work is too impersonal, or that you're just a small part of a giant machine?
I can understand why it might look that way from the outside. I don't get to see the face of the person using the software I help create, but the machine I'm part of creates products that people all over the world use every single day. My small contribution helps a student in another country learn or helps a family connect across the ocean. The scale is different, but the impact is still there. It's just less direct and more widespread. I find a lot of meaning in being part of something so big and ambitious. It's a different kind of satisfaction.
Let's talk about risk and security. Mark, you own your business. That sounds secure, but it also sounds risky. Sophia, you work for a large company, which might seem secure, but you are still an employee who could be laid off. How do you both view the security of your positions?
That's a great question. Being a business owner is definitely a risk, especially at the beginning, but now my security comes from the community. My customers are loyal. My success is tied to the town, and the town supports me. I feel that my destiny is in my own hands. I'm not dependent on a manager's decision or a company's stock price in another country. That control for me feels more secure than anything else.
I see it differently. The risk for me is lower, I think. If I lose my job at this company, there are hundreds of other tech companies in this city that need my skills. My security comes from being highly skilled in an industry with high demand. The big pond offers a safety net of many different opportunities. If Mark's town has economic problems, His business could suffer, and there are a few other options for him there. My skills are portable, and I can find work in almost any major city in the world.
This has been a fantastic discussion, really showing the different ways to think about a career and life. Let's end with a brief closing statement from each of you to summarize your views. Mark, your final thoughts.
For me, it comes down to a simple choice. Do you want a life that is wide or a life that is deep? A big city offers a wide life with many choices, many people, and many superficial experiences. A small town offers a deep life, with strong relationships and a real sense of belonging. I chose a deep life, a life of connection and community, and I have never regretted it. The feeling of being truly important to the people around you is the best measure of success I can imagine.
Thank you, Mark. That's a powerful summary. And Sophia, your closing statement?
I believe life is about pushing your boundaries and discovering your full potential. Being in a big pond is the best way to do that. It challenges you and forces you to adapt. It pushes you to learn and to grow in ways you never thought possible. The opportunities are limitless, and you are constantly inspired by the talented people around you. It might be more challenging, but I believe the rewards, both personal and professional, are far greater in the long run.
Thank you, Sophia, and thank you, Mark, for sharing your perspectives with such honesty and passion. So which is better, the big fish in a small pond, or the small fish in a big pond? As we've heard today, there is no single right answer. It's a deeply personal choice. It depends entirely on your personality and what you value most in life. Do you value community, visibility, and direct impact, like Mark? Or do you value growth, opportunity, and the challenge of a competitive environment, like Sophia? The most important thing is to think about what success and happiness mean to you personally. That's all the time we have for today on The Modern Choice. Join us next week for another interesting discussion. Goodbye.